So many people in this system refuse to believe that they're in the correct bracket of elo or correct rank, and they think that people around them are idiots, and they think that there's people above that they're just as good as, and that something's holding them back, and inevitably they logically come to the conclusion that it has to be their teammates who are holding them back. Their teammates are fucking up, or there's something going wrong here. And so it leads to the famous concept about elo hell, which is best described by paraphrasing a great witty comment about traffic. There's a famous quote that says, "You aren't in traffic, you are traffic." And the concept is, don't just look at what others are doing when you're driving, look at the problems that happen, look at all these things that go on, and then just assume it's all external and that you're doing everything right, or you're doing things mostly right, and if everyone else is the idiot, everyone else is doing anything wrong, and now you're stuck in traffic because of them. Because actually when you acknowledge that you might play some part in it, look at your own behaviour, try and rationalize things that you think are okay because of a situation, a reason, an excuse you know, and apply it externally to others, and you'll suddenly find out, perhaps in the case of the traffic one, you make mistakes and you do problems, and actually everyone else is doing similar sorts of things, and it'll seem more reasonable then, and you'll be in a position then to improve your own situation.
People should fucking stop complaining.
Right.
People should figure out who the fuck they are.
Good call.
People should not listen to America propaganda of fixing the shit they suck at. They should be tripling down at what they're good at. They should be competent in certain areas, but you're not gonna become Beyonce, or, you know, like, your bone structure is a certain way. Like, you're not gonna solve everything. Your IQ can get a little bit better, but don't worry about the incremental. Figure out what you fucking puts you on fire and you're halfway decent at. If you're lucky enough right now to be listening and you're good at what you like, become tunnel fucking vision. Because there's way too many voices telling you what and how. And here's the other thing, and this is the big one. You have a humongous audience. The biggest thing that I've seen dividends from, have the conversation with the person that's holding you back. The reason most people who are listening right now are not doing that thing is they're worried about the opinion of somebody, usually their mother, usually their father. And the reality is that your spouse may be the person holding you back, and you have to have that conversation. We have to get to a place where you're doing you, because the number one thing that scares the fuck out of me is regret. And you're gonna sit there at 72 and you say, I wish, I wish, I wish. And whether that's money or spend more time with your family, there's a million ways to do this. Not everybody wants to buy the jets. Not everybody wants to smoke weed on the beach in Bahamas. Like, everybody's got a different fucking thing. Figure out what your fucking thing is and stop making fucking bullshit excuses. Who the president is, your mom did this, like I missed it.
If you are one of the elite people, one of the best at something, that's exactly analogous. Well, that's a very good analogy, basically, because the best person at the top level, there's essentially a meta game in any field. And part of how you get to the top is often that not only do you have talent, but you've refined that talent using technique, using correct decision making of what are going to be the most efficient, most effective ways to use this talent, what styles combat those styles. And you have this whole meta game and kind of hierarchy of knowledge, progression that you've been through to become the best, so that the people you will battle, if you battle other people at your level, your peer group, they might beat you should beat them since you're better than them in general, but there'll be a logic to how you lose, to why you win. At all times it will make sense, and even if the opponent does something where they beat you, you'll understand why they did, because they'll still be doing moves that are essentially correct in some sense, or effective or efficient. If you battle someone who doesn't have any experience, just by not knowing the basics of the best things, he could do something very strange, which is actually quite poor, a terrible positioning choice, or the wrong time to attack that leaves him totally open. Because you can't anticipate it, because you have no idea essentially what his knowledge is, and he doesn't understand the correct things, he could accidentally pick something which in that moment could be the correct counter. You can have fantastic aim and not understand aspects of technique and positioning, and you will win out over some people who have really good technique and good positioning sometimes, depending on the situations. Or you could have fantastic aim and a little bit of the knowledge of positioning, and you might be a better player, you might be a higher ranked player as a result, and do better. Likewise, you can be someone where you might be the bad player who has the good aim. You don't think, oh, I've got sick aim, and oh, the guy, yeah, you're saying how do you get this kill, it's bullshit. Or watch your teammate who has bad aim and go, oh, this guy's what the fuck he's doing. But he might have the proper position in that situation to win that situation out. And you might think, oh, I was just lucky there. Like, that doesn't really make sense what he did there. Again, it's not linear. Just because you know one thing down here, or you have a strength here, doesn't mean that there's like a graph like this, and everyone who's at like 80% maximum capacity of efficiency and ability to play the game knows everything in the tiers below, and there's just the things above that they don't know. No, it's a wide graph, wide spectrum of things that are possible to learn in the game, and people are all over the area, and in the different components, people are all over the place. Someone has a 10 out of 10 here, but he has a 2 out of 10 here, and he has a 4 out of 10 here. And then when they're in that situation, they go for the peak, or they try to get the jump on the guy, give him a surprise aspect. They don't do the same thing that they thought they could. Likewise, after the fact, once you've done something wrong, just because you can then acknowledge, right, that was wrong, I know why it was wrong this way, that's not it. That's not the end of the story. You don't just go, right, because I knew it was wrong, next time I won't make the mistake. No, what happened is, same process happened now. Next time, after you make the mistake, you go, yeah, see, I know that's wrong, you thought it was wrong, but now I did it, yeah, I'll never do that again. No, you have to now work on that actively. You have to know, in fact, you're telling yourself you don't know that. That's why you're making that mistake. Likewise, people who can figure out what happens after the fact, well, you have, in theory, after the fact, especially after the game, you have unlimited time to figure it out. You can sit forever with a replay, you can write it down, you can do calculations like, oh, I could have never killed him with the soul in at this point. You do all that stuff. The point is, in the game, you can't do that, can you? So, it doesn't matter how great that knowledge in that sense. In the game, you don't have that knowledge out there. Pretend you don't have it, pretend you don't know it. You only know what you can do and execute now in the game. It doesn't matter if after the fact you could do that. Because you have to be fair to the other person playing the game. If they're in the game, you can't now expect them to do and know and execute something you can't yourself, except when you have unlimited time to do so, when you're outside of the game, etc. Tons of those other people making fucked up mistakes in solo queue, in matchmaking, do know they've watched pro games, or they do know the fundamentals that wasn't the right move. But in the moment, they don't do it correctly. And the way that we're assigning as though they're the idiot, well, look at ourselves, we're not doing everything fundamentally correct. We're ignoring the basic fundamentals, aren't we?
Head shrug.
You now think to yourself, fuck, I'm in elo hell. I was playing so well initially, and I got where I should be, and then after the fact, I'm in a lower rank. Without knowing your play, with a 99% accuracy, I can tell you, any of the people who say that, actually what happened is, it was initially that you were in the wrong rank. There was such a small sample size on the initial placement games that you actually fluked it, and you got to a higher rank than you should have been, and for however long you stayed there, usually a brief amount of time, that's why people say they had some sick bad beats or whatever. Then, after playing a bigger sample size, the game naturally was able to adjust you to a more reasonable level, which is where you are now, and that's why you can't get out of it. That's entirely logical. There's a good reason why good players continually rise around, continually make their way, and people who are learning the stuff that you can apply do improve and do gain ranks, and do gain elo in whatever the game you might play. So,
How do these guys have nothing? New team, let's go. Bro, what? Oh my, dude.